What is up, guys? Welcome back to episode 8 of Farms Out. I actually was logging onto my farms yesterday outside of the series. That's how I know I've been counter cooked. Okay, we've been working. Okay, we've been working to get these resources out here. Except on this farm, it was all the farms but this one. I see how now, like after me saying that and then seeing me pick that up, it might seem a little odd, but I swear, guys. Anyway, welcome back, my dudes. We have a couple good questions today. I actually really liked these. I'm gonna try and pick like some of the more complex questions. Maybe I'll pick simple questions sometimes. It just depends on like my mood, perhaps. But yeah, overall, I don't know, I really like the series. I think I'm gonna go live maybe later today. We'll see, and we'll do some coaching content. That would be pretty clean. I haven't done coaching in a minute, and just being able to obviously talk with you guys is kind of good, kind of gas. You know, it's my job, more or less. Don't tell anybody. First question comes from S. Stelius. Hopefully it's not like a swear word. It sounds mildly Slavic. Yo 12, about to enter KVK 3 with 950 gold heads and need some advice. Both Cav and Imp gear is relatively equal. Set chest and boots for Cav and hope cloak set helm for Imp. Nice. Those are really good things to transition with. Option 1, wait for the Imp wheel and just one march. LC and 5511 Scipio. Option 2, run 2 marches with QB, Mina, and expertise LC Ethelfled. Which is better? I might just run the LC Ethelfled. I definitely wouldn't run the QB Mina. The QB Mina is kind of a wild play, especially because you're gonna have to double relic both Mina and Ethelfled, and I don't know if both of those make sense. If you don't have the expertise Mina, I probably would not be busting him out in Season of Conquest. LC Ethelfled seems fine on its own. I mean, you can also invest into Scipio right now, but I mean, as a one march combo, I would rather have like Wallace LC. Like, I mean, Scipio LC is obviously gonna be better than LC Ethelfled. I just don't know if he's worth the sculptures right now, before you have a couple other marches. Just because his debuff is better for your other marches, obviously, right? So the same reason that you wouldn't open up with Nevsky over QB, because obviously Nevsky is the first march, can only debuff for 15%, and obviously you want to debuff for all your friends. That's what makes the march really good. If you don't have a bunch of friends, then the debuffs are much worse. Expertise LC Ethelfled or LC Scipio is probably making more sense. Consolidating your marches makes the most sense, I think, here. On the other side of that, if you have like a decent Mehmed or something similar, going for a full QB with the set chest and boots and running QB as your first T5. QB is great for chaining, so he can really help your econ once you get into Season of Conquest. You have good gear for him. Perhaps if you have like a Mehmed, obviously not that Minamoto, could be YSG. There's a lot of different choices that you have at that point, perhaps for running like a QB with any kind of secondary. The resources are actually starting to look kind of nice. This is a very humbling experience because it reminds you of like how bad I was with logging onto my farms, right? Like as I see the resources going up every day, especially on these farms, like the one on my computer is like a little less because so like all of these farms are going to be like on my ex's email, so I don't usually log off on my phone. So like going through these and seeing the resources go up on them, I'm just like, oh man, like I was really bad with farming on my main. But here we are, okay? All things must change. Okay, we're gonna go through this and one more farm, and then we're going to answer the next question. I tried picking like a couple more complex questions up. Maybe we'll pick up simple questions next time. I figured like I get a lot of questions in DMs, especially like questions that I'd be like, hey, like guys, this is definitely like a coaching type of question. I don't usually just answer these willy-nilly. And then on stream is obviously like a really tough time to ask these questions because there's so many chats going on and most of them are like complete brain rot. So this seems like a really good medium for people who have like one or two questions that, you know, they don't want to like get an entire coaching session for, and I think that makes sense. I think it's a cool place for this to be. Maybe like the series gets more popular, I'd consider doing like 5 questions instead, since I have 5 farms. So farm question, farm question, farm question, so on and so forth. Seems kind of cool. Seems like a good idea. I mean, I say that like it seems like a good idea to me. I'm pretty sure anybody who is trying to get their questions answered is like, of course, like, yeah, of course you should do that. Next question comes from your master. You answered my question last vid. Let's see if I can get another answer. You may know the YouTuber Spartan Gaming. He got his account coached recently and his coach told him to start switching from Wedge to Arch. I think it was Wedge to Arch. What's your opinion? Is Wedge still the better armament? I think it just depends on the volume of marches that you can fill with Wedge and the type of march. So right now, so if you have like pieces of Wedge armaments that are like, if you have like an armament set that's like 25 to 30%, your chances of getting like significantly better pieces are quite low. So on the flip side of that, I would just consider where are your Wedge armaments at for now. Armaments have been out for a while at this point. So if he's got like a few good sets of Wedge, getting good Arch for your first, second Imp marches, potentially for whatever Arch march that comes out, probably not a bad move. I think Arch is the more versatile of the sets, just because like you're never really complaining about 5% normal attack damage. The skill damage was just really good on QB, it's really good on Nevsky, it's really good on ZL, it's really good on Herman. But these guys really wanted it. And at one point we're running things like Scipio Tarek, we loved the skill damage. But now that our meta is like Wallace LC, Gorgo, stuff like that, you know, we may be thinking about other things. So depending on how far in you are on Wedge, I think Armin is fine to invest in. I still usually open Wedge just because I'm thinking about having 2 cav, maybe potentially like 1 skill damage inf with Scipio and Alex. Then we have ZL Herman, and then we have, you know, Wallace LC. Overall, it really depends on where your account is. I have suggested that certain people go for Arch, but that's not everybody for sure. And also, like, the person looking into his account is gonna know a lot more about his account than I do, right? I'm just shooting from the hip there. I definitely not watched that video. Although I'm sure it was good. You know, I love that coaching is getting more normalized in the scene. You know, helps your boy out tremendously. Because, you know, there's a point they're like, oh, like, why would I get coaching? Like, why would this make sense? And, you know, obviously, you know, if you're gonna drop, like, if you're dropping like $200 to $300 a month on this game, getting coaching from me on stream is 35, getting coaching from me off stream is 75. Pretty good deal, right? Like, just in terms of like cleaning up spending, if your spending's just a little off, you know, you're gonna be wasting a ton of money. And for one investment, then you obviously never waste that money again. I remember, especially when it first started, like, knowledge is a lot more widely available than it used to be. Probably, like, I want to say I started coaching like 2 years ago or a year and a half, something like that. And at that point, it was so hard to find like good spending information, which is really funny because I think my beginner guide has like a breakdown of like, I'd buy this in this order. But it's definitely, it was more difficult for me anyway to find references for that. I just knew what order I'd want to buy things in if I were spending. So let's do the last question. This comes from Odin. For a secondary for Nevsky or QB, is Mehmed with double relic or Mina with double relic better? I would say Mehmed with double relic has higher potential for damage, and Mina with double relic is just a very consistent piece. I think like expertise Mina is a much more consistent and valid option. He has a ton of stats. I think for Nevsky, Mina is always the better secondary. For QB, if you're firing off way more AoEs, perhaps the actual ability and the skill damage is a little more important than the overall stats for Mina. So I think there's certain situations where QB Mehmed might be better than QB Mina, but I would still go with Mina. I think Mina is just very consistent. I like the move speed. I like the extreme amount of stats he gets. Mehmed is cool and it's tanky, but I like Mina better. Sending out my 1 troop. I'm such a good noodle. Okay, no one can ever get on me for not 1 troop. We have video graphical evidence that every single day I send out my 1 troop. I am built different, which is nice because I remember, I think one time I got kicked from the farms and I was like, why am I getting kicked? Because I just never ever sent out 1 troops. I was a war criminal with that, but I've gotten better. Okay, I've cleaned up my act. I'm a model citizen, a model farmer now. I'm not a model farmer, but that's okay. They're patient with me. And that is it, guys. Hey, if you guys enjoyed this type of content, make sure you drop a like, a follow, consider subscribing. If you guys want your own coaching session, remember you guys can go to the description below, go to the Discord and make a ticket. It's 35 bucks for an on-stream session, 75 bucks for an off-stream session. Guys, I really appreciate y'all always showing up. If you want to help out the channel financially, you guys can always donate to the Streamlabs link in the description below. But more important than anything, thank you so much for supporting the channel, guys. Have yourselves an absolutely wonderful day, and I'll see you guys tomorrow, or maybe later today if you guys watch the streams. Bye.